We also got a chance yesterday to talk to both the special teams coach, Brian Schneider, and the O-line coach, Chris Forster. And, the interesting thing I thought the revelation was from Forster is that even though Dominick Puni can play lots of spots, they're lining him up at right guard because they feel like he can start there. He's going to be in the mix with Burford and Feliciano for that right guard spot. But it sounds to me like Puni played center in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. A lot of people thought he looked good at center. I asked Chris what spot can he play, and he's like, well, he could play tackle in a pinch because he's played tackle, but they project him as a guard, and they're placing him at right guard. And I think they're placing him at right guard because they think he can win the starting right guard job, and I think he probably can. I like the way he moves out there. He lined up, he was wearing 77. They lined him up at right guard all day yesterday. And he's just, to me, this guy, has got a lot to learn, but man, he's got great feet. He's got great athleticism. He's not stiff in the slightest, and he's got that kind of nasty, I want to bury you attitude. His footwork is really good. So I don't know. We'll see. To me, that's going to be Feliciano versus Burford versus Puni for right guard could be the biggest competition this summer.
So 3 things on Puni. One, they should try him at right guard. That is their weakest position on the offensive line. I mean, I guess you could use him at some center because of the injury to Brendel. But here's what I'm going to read you what Chris Forster said yesterday, and then I want to read you something I got from a coach on the Kansas staff. Okay. And I think these 2 things together will illustrate where the challenge is going to be for Puni. So what Forster said was he's one of those guys, but he was a very good pass blocker in college. That should translate to our game. And
didn't allow a sack his final 2 years at Kansas.
That's a good stat. And then getting him to do our run game is going to be the biggest adjustment. Okay. Which makes sense. This is what a coach who was on the Kansas staff last year told me on the night that they drafted him. Really good feet, athletic for his measurables, smart football player, understands the game, does a good job in pass protection. Biggest knock would be creating movement and recreating the line of scrimmage in the run game. Just wasn't asked to do it a lot in our scheme because we didn't have guys around him to consistently impose our will on people in the run game. So both of them identify he's got the skills for the pass game and the athletic ability for the run game, but he hasn't done it yet. So, when the pads really come on, the preseason, if we'd made a list of like 5 guys that the preseason's the biggest for, Puni might be on that list, right? Because being able to prove that he can move people in the run game is going to be the difference between him starting as a rookie at right guard potentially and not being ready to play.
I think he can move people in the run game. I mean, he's got a huge upper body. He keeps the legs moving. He doesn't have the most powerful lower legs. So there's definitely, strength that needs to be gained there over time. But to me, he seems really, really powerful in the upper body. And we'll see. I mean, I like the feet. He could be a little stronger in the base, but yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting. I thought Burford moved around really well out on the field yesterday. So, he's another guy that, the arrow's pointing up on Spencer Burford. They really like what they've got in Jalen Moore. He kind of talked up Jalen Moore. They really feel like Jalen Moore every year improves a little bit. So they kind of like him, and where he's at. So, I mean, to me, the offensive line, the only guy we didn't really ask him about was Kingston. So that will have to be a surprise. But, when he was asked about Nugent, he's like, he's already got a nickname for him. He's like, Nugie, we love Nugie. And he just said that he's kind of a little bit undersized and doesn't deal well with, power. But, man, if you watch Nugent, I mean, he was a captain at Stanford. He was first team all Big Ten at Michigan. He's 6'1", but he's really, really broad. I think there's a very good chance that Nugie, makes a name for himself this summer and gives Brendel a run for his money.
And Brendel's kind of behind, Brendel's behind a little bit because of the injury. Can I read you some George Odom quotes on the kickoff return?
Yeah.
I love, by the way, were you there for Brian Schneider, the special teams coach?
I was. And
did he basically say, like, for the first time in my career, I've got something fun to do? That's how I took some of his quotes.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that we're all learning this together. Like the Niners, like if there were a game today, there would be some real issues dealing with this, because I think nobody really knows what personnel is going to succeed with these new rules. The angles are all different. Everything, all the coaching points are going to be different because the angles are different. What kind of body do you need, or what kind of skill set do you need to excel as a return guy? Still very much TBD across the league. I think it's pretty safe to say that when the Niners and the Saints get together for their joint practices in Irvine, that there'll be a lot of sessions devoted to special teams and dealing with this play, because I think these teams are probably eager to practice it because it's all new. I mean, it's completely new. And I mentioned to Forster, I'm like, you literally have every kind of return man that exists on this roster. What are you looking for? Who's first on the depth chart? And he wouldn't answer who's first on the depth chart, but I mean, it really is true. They've got Trent Taylor. They've got, Garendo, who's a big bodied tackle breaking guy. They got guys like Cowing and Ronnie Bell and guys with quickness and ball skills and catch radius. And, they got slow guys like Taylor who, are going to catch it. And that's the attraction of them. Then you got guys who are Danny Gray, 4.2 burners who could make a guy miss. So I asked him, who's on top in that depth chart and what are you looking for? And he basically was totally honest and was like, I don't know what I'm looking for. We're going to have to kind of play this out. But you're right. He's like, we do have a variety of different return guys that we can lean on: stars, backups, receivers, running backs, big bodies, small bodies, speed, dependability, hands. They've got every option available to them. Now it's just a matter of what skill set is going to fit this job description.
George Odom quote, "It's going to be the easiest job in the NFL, being the return man, because nobody else is moving. You don't have to worry about getting hit ever. You just catch the ball and now you're running. I can put my little sister back there and she'll get at least to the 20. Now, this was the part that I thought was interesting. He said, it's like Christian McCaffrey running outside zone or something like that. He's stretching the box so far that when he cuts back, the defenders who are chasing him are further away, and then he cuts through an opening. My theory, I love that quote because it feeds my theory that a running back might be
the needed part,
the right type of returner. Yeah.
Maybe it'll be Cody Schrader.